Hi guys. Sorry, you're before TikTok today, so let me set this up. I was going to be so on time, and then I got a little preoccupied. So, but I'm here now, and I'm only 2 minutes late, which is much better than normal. So, how is everyone doing today? There is so much to cover today. What a day, right? I mean, I feel like this day had only started like a little while ago, and we've already had an Elon Musk breakdown. We've already had like so much insane stuff happen. I also, hi Tony, hi Armin, hi Carolyn, hi Joe, hi Sean. So yeah, I was gonna say, this day only just started, or well, not just started, but as in today. Sorry, I'm a little all over the place today. I apologize for that too, but I was incredibly tired. I don't react very well to like cold weather. When weather changes to cold, especially when it changes to rainy, I am like a shell of a human being. So I woke up this morning. It was so cold and rainy and gross. My dog like doesn't want to go on a walk. My knee hurts today. I had to force Vasily to oh, I went live in the wrong. Oh man. Um yeah, as I said, I'm very all over the place today. I went live from the wrong place. You guys, bear with me. Bear with me while I collect myself because I'm just very not collected today. Hi, Norm. Ah, gosh. Well, what an impression I'm making. Right. Okay. Hi, Gap. Okay, so basically today I had to bribe Vasil to walk Cine because my knee hurts a lot and I couldn't go up and down the stairs. I woke up, it was cold and gross and stuff. And so today you see me wearing a hoodie, and this is my normal winter attire. In winter, I don't live, I exist, and I exist in everything that's comfortable. And making me dress up and look decent is a very hard process. So the colder it gets, the more hoodies you're gonna count. And I do have an arsenal of hoodies. I really could not give less of a crepe about how I look. So we're gonna be in the hoodie land. Hi Lauren, hi Javier, hi Paul, hi Veronica, hi James, hi Kat. Well, Veronica was on the other account, but I'm sure Veronica is coming on. I'll leave for the need. Yeah. Hi Jen. Um, Hi Jen. Hi Jay. Hi Mark. I'll leave for the knee. Yeah, I'm gonna get some sort of a knee relief thing. I might actually try to bribe Vasil to go to the pharmacy for me, and he just locked the door because he heard that. Hi Nasta. Hi Zora. Hi Lumpy. Hi Crazy Cat. Hi Elliot. But yeah, so basically what I wanted to say is I like slept a lot today. I was very tired. I also went to bed really late. I had to edit some stuff for a nonprofit that I work for like last minute, which was my fault because I'm a little all over the place. The Tork video is doing so good so far. If you guys liked it, thank you, Jack. If you guys liked it, if you think that it's good, if you enjoyed the interview, thank you, Mariana. Please share it to your friends. I have a favor to ask you. If you are part of like military Facebook groups or like veteran Facebook groups, or like Facebook groups that belong that are like Marine Corps or something like that, or you have Ukrainians in your local Facebook group or something like that, could you please Could you please post that video in those groups, because I know that a lot of people on Facebook will react to it. I know a lot of people in like groups that are military groups will react to it, because I'm sure that veterans and just Marines and Army and Navy and stuff like that would be very, very interesting to I'd be very, very interested in listening to the interview of Azov and kind of finding out, because well, it's a military of a different country, and especially a military that's been talked about a lot recently. So if you could do that, I would highly appreciate that. Also, if you're members of like Reddit groups, because here's the thing about me, I tried and I actually posted it on a couple of Are Ukraines on Reddit, and a lot of people were very interested, and a lot of views came from there. And I think that it's incredibly important that people hear Tork's interview, and that people, hi Joan, Joan, that people hear this interview, because, well, first of all, it's one of a kind in a way, because it's not there are no other interviews that I've seen, which is why I did this one, that is in English voiceover or in English in general. And so I think it'd be very, very good and very, very important that people hear about Azov and meet them through, meet them one-to-one, not through like the lens of Russian propaganda or Vice or The Time or something like that. Heroyam Slava. There was, okay, so Taz is asking me, Yulia, just curious, does Sydney sleep in bed with you or in her own bed? What do you think? Do you think this dog has any boundaries? Does this dog seem to you like she has any boundaries? Just curious. So Elon Musk today woke up and decided that he's gonna most likely do a lot of drugs and bless us with one of his controversial opinions, as he likes to do so. I am going to elaborate on it. I am going to elaborate on like more of my opinion in terms of that. I'm not just saying it because Elon Musk tweeted about Ukraine, but here's one of the things that I absolutely hate about people like Elon Musk. It's because most people that follow them do not have critical thinking skills, right? And most people who follow billionaires and like love them, right, think that just because they're rich, they're incredibly educated and they know best, right? Elon Musk is a very controversial figure, and he has done a lot of similar things like that were like incredibly controversial. One of his things is that he loves attention, and he loves the spotlight to be on him. It's a psychological thing. A lot of billionaires do. In order for you to be able to climb that high up the ladder, you also need to be a narcissist, and you also need to have a couple of other things going on with you. So basically, one of the things that I do want to say about it is Elon Musk very often either gets incredibly high on a lot of different drugs and then goes on a tweeting spree, or he has bipolar disorder. I mean it, and I mean it and I don't mean it in a way where I want to like offend him. No, I don't think having bipolar disorder is offensive. I only use disorders, or I only use mental health diagnosis, when I genuinely believe in them. And I think that this man has bipolar, okay? Because a lot of his tweets are very contradictory, and a lot of them are sent in these like crazy fits. They're like they are like manic, right? Like he doesn't just send one, he just goes on this like whole journey of just like going crazy and tweeting and like obsessing over an idea. So that's what it looks like to me right now. One of the things that pisses me off about people like Elon Musk is that they do understand very much how much influence they have, and they don't think about the consequences. Because realistically, Elon Musk does not know history nearly as well as he thinks he does. And so he's saying some things that make him sound smart to an average person who also doesn't know history. And he's trying to pose them as this like groundbreaking discovery, controversial opinion. Look at how not mainstream I am. And I'm not just talking about Ukraine like every other mainstream publication does. I gave them Starlink, so clearly I'm not biased, but also look at my not biased opinion that this, and that should happen based on history. Here's the thing. It is a biased opinion, and it is opinion based on no history, because in that case, if he wants to have a referendum in occupied areas where Ukrainian people have fled from and will have no right to vote, during martial law especially, then he should probably advocate for a referendum for California and see if we should return it to Mexico. And while he's at it, he should probably also give back Alaska to Russia, because it was until 700 something and Peter II's mistake. Right. Another thing is, this is a very typical like thinking of a billionaire, right? Because you don't think people, you think territory. You don't think people, you think in like corporate measures, right? You think in measures like, oh, this land belonged to XYZ in this century, so this is why it should still belong to XYZ, and this is the deal we gotta make to give, thank you, Todd, to give Crimea water so Ukraine doesn't like abandon it or something like that. So here's the funny thing. First of all, what are you going to do about the people who have been quite literally forced out of their homes, who have been living in poverty for a while because they had to leave everything in Crimea? What are you going to do about Crimean Tatars that don't want to be a part of Russia? What are you going to do about those? You know, so there is a lot of just, it's a very, very like corporate greed mindset of like territory. Let's look at territorial situations. Like even if it was about territory, Crimea is Ukraine. It wasn't a mistake, and it has been Ukraine. It has been recognized Ukraine, and whether Russians consider that a mistake from Khrushchev or not, it has been legally Ukraine. Also, Ukraine is the only country that can actually sustain Crimea, and there is no reason why Ukraine should be sustaining Crimea if Crimea is Russian. That's the thing. So there is a lot to do there. There is a lot to go off of there, but one of the most prevalent things here is that it doesn't matter whose Crimea was 100 years ago. It doesn't matter whose Crimea was 30 years ago. The thing is, the Crimean people are largely Ukrainian. Crimean Tatars, who are, if you want to go into history like that, Elon, then it's Crimean Tatars. And you should give Crimea back to Crimean Tatars. Then you should go find them in Siberia, in Russia, and you should go do ancestry DNA for all of Russian citizens to figure out which ones of them are native Crimean Tatars. You should, because they were deported by Russia before Russia even took it, right? And you need to go restore that. You need to go restore that. If you want history, if you want historical justice, then you need to go find all of the Crimean Tatars, all of the Crimean Tatar families that were deported into faraway areas of Russia, and then you need to bring them back to Ukraine and have them decide. And I can guarantee you what they're going to decide after they have been exiled to Siberia for generations to come. Anyways, and also Crimean Tatars that now live in Crimea. Also, another thing is the human factor of Russia literally not caring about these lands that they annex, because they bring people to poverty. They don't care about the people. Their level of life is horrendous, and they also torture them. So it's like, you know, this corporate greed and this entire thing, the biggest thing behind this tweet is Elon Musk's ego. I don't know if you've noticed this before, but anytime he tweets things like that, he tweets them for attention, because he wants attention and he wants to say something that's controversial, something that's not mainstream, because, you know, he hates being mainstream. But the thing is, like, there is a big difference between tweeting something like, oh, I don't like Democrats because, I don't know, some random stuff that he can make up, right? And there is a huge thing when you're talking about millions of people's lives, when you're putting that on the line, because even though he's not a politician, even though his opinion doesn't matter, his opinion sways people. His opinion sways lots and lots of people. And it's incredibly, incredibly damaging when someone like Elon Musk goes out there and says, oh, so yeah, we should give Crimea to Russia and we should have a second referendum and let the people decide. Meanwhile, most of the people have been exiled from those places or fled because of their fear of torture and concentration camps. So yeah, what people are left there? The Russians that have been implanted, sure enough, they're going to choose Russia. Of course, they were planted there for that specific reason. And his opinion is damaging. Thank you, Joanne. His opinion is damaging because it's loud. It's loud, and a lot of people follow him, and a lot of people take his word for it just because he's a rich billionaire. And so it's yeah, it's just like I have nothing more to say than it's incredibly damaging. It's incredibly damaging and it's so irresponsible. And in his fit for seeking for attention, he had put so many people into the situation in which they're thinking, maybe we shouldn't support Ukraine. And that undermines the support. And that undermines the support. And that also undermines the amount of people who are willing to call their congressmen. And that furthers the genocide. So while you might think it's just a stupid tweet from like a stupid billionaire who wants some stupid attention, that might be true, but it has lots and lots of consequences. And unfortunately, those consequences are going to be felt by no one else but the people of Ukraine. And also his words are going to be taken by Russian propaganda, and they're going to be spread and spread and spread. And people in Russia who were losing hope and who were like, oh my gosh, maybe we should like stand up. And the propagandists who have been cracking and stuff like that now are going to be like, well, wait a second, we're backed by Elon Musk. Nope. Hope is not lost. Let's continue with our shebang. So it's, it's really like there's so many different levels to why this is so damaging and to what they could accomplish. So it's really there is a lot to it that isn't just like, his fit and his meltdown online. There is a lot to it that has real consequences, and those consequences are going to be felt. And one of the consequences that we don't think about is Russian propaganda that's going to cling on to that statement and is going to take that statement and is going to be blown out of proportion. Because that way, here's the thing. Look, Russian propaganda has been cracking. Russian propagandists on TV have been like losing their faith. And they've been saying like, well, no, we shouldn't expect much from this mobilization. It's not likely to help right now. We're clearly having a lot of trouble. And until this mobilization helps, it's going to be a long time until this mobilization helps with anything. And then the Russian people who are kind of like backing down and they're like, oh my God, no one supports us. Obviously, even if we believe in the cause, even if like Ukraine's evil or like whatever, the whole world is against us, like blah, blah, blah. And they're losing hope. And here they have it. Elon Musk comes out and starts tweeting basically in support of Russia. And now Russian propagandists have more material to cling on to keep supporting their narrative. And that's just about it. And that's the damage that has been done. And this damage is not something that it's just easy to reverse because, Elon Musk decided to do a correction on his tweet. And I've looked at his Twitter and he's genuinely he's like in a tweeting fit here. Let's try this then. The will of the people who live in the Donbass and Crimea should decide whether they're part of Russia or Ukraine. Sure, but you're not going to be able to bring those people neither to Donbass nor to Crimea because they have literally been chased out of there by Russians with guns and by fear of torture. So sure. Mikhailo Podolyak said, are you trying to legitimize pseudo-referendums that took place at gunpoint under conditions of persecution, mass execution, and torture? And he says, no, I'm suggesting voting under UN or pick your most trusted entity or country supervision. Will 100,000 dead in Mariupol vote, or those who went through concentration camps? Elon Musk, you create rockets and dream of colonizing Mars. Russia creates mobile crematoria and dreams of Ukrainians disappearing as a nation. It is not a voting issue. Wow. Wow. Genuinely, but Podolyak and the Ukrainian government responses to this have been he's just in a silly, goofy mood. Yeah, he's just in a silly, goofy mood that's going to ruin millions of lives. That's not a silly, goofy mood. God, people like protecting people like Elon Musk, like, oh, it doesn't matter anything. He's just joking. It's just Twitter. It's not just Twitter. It's not just joking. He's a man with like 11 million followers, if not more, or 100 million followers. He's a man whose word is taken for face value because he's rich. He's a man who has so much influence that he crashes the stock market. He manipulates the stock market by one tweet, and he knows it. And he really, really knows it. That's how much influence Elon Musk has, and he shouldn't have that. But he does. And so his tweets and his words like that are influential, and they're influential, and they are going to have consequences. And that's so fucked up for someone to say he's just in a silly, goofy mood. Are the people in the silly are the people who have died in mass in Mariupol in a silly, goofy mood because Russia killed them? Hi, Marco. So yeah, there is that. It's not a silly, goofy mood. But I'm going to read you some responses from government officials from Ukraine. Well, first of all, this is not a government official, but here, I really liked this tweet because it's basically the same thinking that I have. So let's recap, shall we? Elon Musk on Twitter says, Russia-Ukraine peace. Redo elections of annexed regions under UN supervision. Russia leaves if that is the will of the people. Crimea, formerly part of Russia, as it has been since 1783 until Khrushchev's mistake. Water supply to Crimea assured. Ukraine remains neutral. Yes or no? And he's asking this from the world community, not from Ukrainians. The world community has no say in this. Ukrainians do. Russians have no say in it. Ukrainians do. Thank you so much, Joan. And I'm so tired of like foreigners weighing in on this. Have you ever been to Ukraine? Once. Have you ever been to Ukraine in your life? Once. Have you? No. Do you know Ukrainian? Do you have a Ukrainian passport? Do you know anything about Ukraine other than the last 8 months? No? Your opinion is irrelevant. Are you a citizen of Ukraine? Your opinion is irrelevant if you are not. Have you been affected by the actions of Russia? Directly affected as a Ukrainian by the actions of Russia? No? Your opinion doesn't matter. Plain and simple. So Alex Shenkov, a Ukrainian on Twitter, says, redo elections of annexed California and Texas from Mexico under UN supervision. US leaves if that is the will of the people. Alaska, formerly part of Russia, as it has been since 1867 until Alexander II's mistake. US remains neutral in Taiwan conflict. Seems fair to me, if that's what he's thinking. Then Zelensky tweeted, which Elon Musk do you like more? One who supports Ukraine or one who supports Russia? Andriy Melnik, a Ukrainian government official, said, fuck off is my very diplomatic reply to you, Elon Musk. And there are many, 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 many more responses like that from Kuleba and from Podolyak. Because honestly, my incredibly diplomatic response to Elon Musk is fuck off as well. And maybe try not to tweet when you're doing copious amounts of drugs and maybe at your age. Fucking figure out what to do with your life other than do as many drugs as you do and think it's cute to need attention. You have all the money in the world and you need therapy and you can afford it. I'm not sure why you're not getting it. At this point, like having 877 children with like 15 different women and going younger and younger in your dating age range, and like, I don't know, deleting your like cutting off your eyeball placenta or whatever it is of your eyeballs because you think that aliens exist is a little it's a little much. Is a little much. And if you want to do stuff like that, and if you want to be a responsible person, then maybe don't influence 107 million people that just follow you on Twitter. And that's think about the Tetchery connections of all of the people that are going to send this to their friends who don't even follow Elon Musk and stuff like that, who are going to be affected by that. At this point in time, when you're that famous and your words matter so much, you should know better than weigh in on things as important as millions of human lives in a fucking war. You have no prerogative to speak on it, and you have no prerogative to say things like that because words matter. And you, because of your own ego, because you want to feed your own ego, you go out on the internet, and to you it's a game. But to me, to Vasil, to our parents, to our friends, to people that live there, it's not a game. And Elon Musk tweeting this stuff is not fun. It's not silly. It's not just a tweet. It's a big deal. It's a big deal that costs human lives. And he knows that too. It's one thing when he wants to give Donald Trump his platform back, which I disagree with, which is going to cause a lot of damage to politics, right? But also like, but still. And it's a different thing when he's putting millions of human lives on the line for that. God. Anyways, we're going to migrate onto the second part of today's thumbnail, and that part is about Ukrainian defenders who were able to meet their families today for the first time. As you might remember, on September 21st, 5 Ukrainian commanders have exchanged Russian captivity. Hi, Joe. Hi, Joe. As you might remember, on September 21st, there have been 5 Ukrainian commanders that have been exchanged from captivity back onto the territory. Well, not back onto the territory of Ukraine, because that would mean that was not what was pre-agreed upon in the negotiations. But they have been in Ankara and Turkey under the supervision of Erdogan this whole time, and they did not have an opportunity to see their families yet. So today, they saw their families and their loved ones for the first time since they were freed from Russian captivity. And this is what it looks like. Take a look. This is Denis Prokopenko and his wife Katerina. Denis Prokopenko is the commander of Azov regiment. I believe this is Kalina. Kalina is the lieutenant commander of Azov. He is the right-hand man from Denis Prokopenko. This is again Denis and Katerina. Oh. I actually find this moment very sweet because if you can see, this is Denis Prokopenko and this is Katerina. And it looks like the first time they see each other because she's like running to him. And there's like a person in between them. And it's very, very, very sweet. I find it incredible that they were able to see their families, and I find it incredible that they have finally reunited with them. I find it incredible that their health looks much better, and it's only been, a couple of weeks. And it's the sweetest most incredible thing to witness because, it's just so much joy. And look at them. Look at how happy they are. Sidebar, you sound exactly like the lady who does the United 24 YouTube shorts. Ah, I wonder why I sound just like her. Do I have a twin, guys? Do I have a twin? Huh. I wonder. I've never heard that before. I've never heard that before. I wonder why would I sound just like the lady who does United 24 voiceovers for Zelensky? Huh. Do we think we could I wonder. I know, right? We do sound very, very similar. What an we do have a lot of a voice pitch similarities. Like, what is Donbass? Easy, it's part of Ukraine. Yeah, I wonder. I wonder. I'm sorry. This is actually super funny because I feel like it's the first time that someone who doesn't know me had asked me about it, and I'm just going to play into it. I'm just going to play into it a little bit, and it's giving me it's giving me a little bit of a, what is Donbass? Easy, it's part of Ukraine. Donbass means Donetsk coal basin. It roughly spreads over two eastern regions, Donetsk and Luhansk. Previously, Donbass was mainly inhabited by nomads, but in the 16th century, Cossacks built fortresses on the site of Mariupol and Slavyansk. They ruled the territory until the Russian Empire seized it in the 18th century. Donbass is the land of mineral resources. Therefore, in the 19th century, it became the land of foreign investments. So in 1869, British industrialist John Hughes founded Donetsk. Do that? I sound like that? No. No. Anyways, hi, nice to meet you. Thank you, Natlin. I saw the hot air balloons. I really love them. Thank you so very much. I'm sorry I was a little preoccupied because I'm flattered that my who does the editing for those? Federative Agency. It's a United 24 platform. It's the government platform. So yeah. So there is that. Okay. There are not many videos of our defenders tearing off tricolor rags in the deoccupied Ukrainian territories, but there is one more video from Le Mans that just came out.
Не, 81-я, 81-я. Это их заслуга.
Five more ships left the ports of Ukraine today. On board are 114.7 thousand tons of agricultural products for African and European countries, according to the Ministry of Infrastructure. Heroyam Slava. The whole essence of Russia in one picture. The author is Oleg Shuplyak. Take a look. This is what the author of this painting thinks the essence of Russia is in one painting. It's a rotten apple that rots from the inside out. Oh my gosh, this is a sweet little palate cleansing video. You know I love those.
Все, малый, все нормально. Все нормально.
This puppy is so funny. He's just like bouncing. Wow, there are a lot of funny satirical images here. So, the Liman offensive has been called by Ukrainians as the cauldron. Oh, wait. It's not a rerun. Sorry. I didn't oh my gosh. Okay, edit stream info. Sorry. You're right. It's not a rerun because it's not a rerun because it was a rerun. I was playing something yesterday that was a rerun. Thank you for letting me know. For some reason, it isn't letting me. For some reason, it isn't letting me change the settings, but it is not a rerun on Twitch. I was playing something yesterday that was a rerun. Sorry. Let me read it to you so you guys on TikTok and other platforms are not confused. So Marco says, wait, I'm confused. Twitch says that this is a rerun, but she acknowledged me following earlier, and the same stream is up on YouTube and TikTok, so this has to be live, right? It is live. It is live. It's just yesterday I was doing a rerun of the interview with the Azov warrior and Azovstal defender, and so I put it as a rerun because it's already out on YouTube and it wasn't live per se. But I forgot to take that off, and it's not a rerun, and now it isn't letting me take the freaking thing that says that it's a rerun off. It's really annoying. Come on. Oh no. Oh, that's so annoying. Oh my god. Okay, well, all right. So Ukrainians call the Liman offensive a cauldron because it's, we surrounded Russians, and there was a lot of stuff that it was just like, it was a cauldron. It was Russians were surrounded. There were 5,500 Russians who were surrounded, and it was just a cauldron. And a cauldron because Ukrainians have heavy weapons, and they are, fire weapons. And so there have been a lot of really funny drawings today that talk about that. So this is a Cossack. This is what a Cossack looked like. And Cossacks were not a large, but a very, very highly respected invincible army. And so Ukrainians like to call themselves the ancestors of Cossacks, And so this is a Ukrainian soldier, and they're laughing at Russians being fried in the Liman direction, in the cauldron. So yeah, so there's that cauldron, and they're usually made out of iron. Yeah, exactly. And so, there is a Cossack laughing, and there is a Ukrainian soldier laughing. Дякую. And they're looking at these Russians who thought that they can just come and invade the land. And that's sort of like, that echoes history, because Cossacks were an army that was understaffed and that had to figure out how to use a lot of different weapons really quick, because we were kind of like situated at the crossroads of civilizations. And so there were a lot of different, you know what? This is where one of my videos on Zelensky's page is incredibly useful. Give me a second. It actually talks about Cossacks and why Ukrainians, and why Ukrainians are so skilled in combat. And so this echoes to this little part. And I want to play it to you because I think it's super important. Okay, one sec.
How come are Ukrainians so skilled in combat? While the US had the Wild West, Ukraine had the Wild Fields. These lands were sparsely populated until the 15th century, when Cossacks established a base there. Cossack means a free man in Turkic languages. The first Cossacks were younger sons of feudal lords deprived of their inheritance, so they earned money by doing what they knew best, combat. Later, they became landlords and ran businesses. Cossack leaders were elected by a council, like a true democratic state. Sich became the center of territory, a reinforced fortress which held the line on land. When fighting at sea, they attacked large ships from mobile boats called chaikas. Wild fields were a huge pasture for nomadic tribes, so Cossacks adapted to new tactics and weapons quickly through constant clashes with them. Cossacks are known in the world as skillful shooters, horsemen, sailors, but above all, the daredevils who fought masterfully against superior forces. That's how they defeated the Grand Turkish Army in 1621. Cossacks did not get along with Muscovite. In an effort to squash the free-spirited Ukrainians, the Russians destroyed siege. But Cossacks survived and became great-great-great-great-grandparents of modern Ukrainians.
I'll tell you more, Zelensky. Hi, Gianmarco. Zelensky does know my voice. I also received a very, very fun and a very, very amazing, for me personally, feedback recently. And the feedback said that he really liked the past couple of videos. And so we are doing 2 more out of line. There's supposed to be 1 a week, but we're doing 2 more in a sped up process because he wants to do one on Zaporizhia and one on Kherson. So yeah, but basically one of the reasons I was showing you this is because it says that, we were kind of there was, the US had the Wild West, we had the Wild Fields. The Wild Fields were an area that was highly contested by different nations because it was like a crossroad of civilizations. Cossacks were living there, and so they had to consistently be in battle with a lot of different invaders, and they were a small army, but they were a very, very mighty and a very feared army, and they never lost, really. So one of the reasons why we're comparing the modern Ukrainian army to Cossacks is because it almost seems like the reincarnation of them. The bodies of 5 people who tried to evacuate on their own back in the spring were found in Kharkiv region. The Hetman Ivan Mazepa class corvette of the Navy of Ukraine was launched in Turkey. The Ada class corvette will be the first ship of this type for the Navy of Ukraine. It is planned that the ship will be accepted into the Navy of Ukraine in 2024. And this is what it looks like. Я тобі навіть більше скажу. One sec, guys. There is a Ukrainian person, and I think that they really want me to prove that I'm Ukrainian. And so I kind of want to do our little daily Sini thing. Sinya, pista. Sini, ходи сюди. Sit. Sini. Слава Україні. Слава нації. Пиздець Російській Федерації. Good girl. Good girl. Хороша дівчинка. Іди. Іди. Давай. Що? Іди. 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 Молодець. Що? You wanna stay? Come. Come here. Come here. Sini, come here. This is Sini. Sini is from Mykolaiv. She's my little patriot dog. My very patriotic dog. And, Sini is Shini is more well-versed in politics than some Russians are. And Sini is a 2.5-year-old French bulldog. So that says a lot, I think. Right? It says a lot. So, yeah. Thank you so much, Suzanne. But yeah, I need to teach Sini something new. I need to teach Sini how to Sini doesn't bark. If Sini knew how to bark, I would teach her how to howl back to Україна понад усе or все буде Україна. But she doesn't freaking bark. So what am I supposed to do here? How do I teach this dog to bark back? How do I teach you to bark if you don't bark? You barely know how to bark. Guys, help. Can you get her to howl? No, she only howls in the middle of the night if she thinks that someone's invading our apartment. And so, right? And I need to teach you how to howl back. Anyways, General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, due to the successes of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, more and more Russians are surrendering and fleeing from their positions. Also, there are a couple of Ukrainian very, very trusted frontline journalists, or rather frontline journalists in Ukraine. Not all of them are Ukrainian, and they have been saying that there is some crazy stuff coming out of Kherson, and they wish they could share it, but OPSEC. And so I will tell you that the armed forces of Ukraine have been really pressing onto the Kherson direction, and it looks like there is going to be some wild land recapture coming out in the next couple of days, if not tomorrow. It depends on how fast they can manage to do that. But they have been really pressing onto Kherson. And Kadyrov's troops, instead of defending Luhansk, are for some reason still staying in Bakhmut. And they have been moving up maybe 35 meters. 35 meters? That's nothing. 35 meters is, so in Ukrainian, I am in Ukraine, for those of you who don't know metrics, my height, I'm 5'2". I am 1 meter and 60 centimeters. So I'm a little over 1.5 meters. So they've been moving like 16 times me daily. That's nothing. That's from here to my door daily. That's what they've been doing at most. So yeah. So Mashbuck on Twitch says, I saw a tweet from a parody Putin account yesterday. Darth Putin, that's what you Darth Putin is what you're talking about. Our army is regrouping backwards in an orderly way while the Ukrainian army pursues us in a panic. Yeah, Darth Putin is if you don't follow him on Twitter, honestly, it's one of the like funniest things I've seen in a long time. I will read you this account. It's like a parody account. One second. It's a large parody account. The only people now afraid of the Russian military are Russian men of military age. I'm offering Elon Musk a role of head of Russian election commission. One sec. I have taken my army from near where NATO is so as to fight NATO where NATO is not, meaning Russia is now basically defenseless against NATO. I remain master strategist. Of course, my tankies look like Nobel Prize-winning intellectuals after all their previous predictions turned out so well. Arguing with tankies about how NATO totally has planned to invade Russia is like arguing with a creationist about the world being older than 5,000 years. You can present all the evidence you want, but all they need is the voices in their heads. Day 222 of my 3-day war. I'm retreating on multiple fronts, proving men can indeed multitask. I remain master strategist. I reinforced Kherson back in August, and once the brigades got HIMARSed, it became a self-governing POW camp. Gonna send thoughts and prayers to Kherson. That's my nicknames for Shoigu and Gerasimov, because they're both fucking useless. You're no longer talking about my army retreating at Liman, because it is now retreating in Kherson also. I remain a master strategist. Yeah, so this is, my constitutional court has recognized our annexation of the territories we are retreating from. I remain a master strategist. I absolutely love that. This account is hilarious. This is a poll. What is happening to Russian army at Liman? Point 1, 360 goodwill gesture. Encircled, regrouping. Surrounded, faint. Masterful strategy. Day 221 of my 3-day war. I played my guest card so early Europe stocked up for winter, and I mobilized so late that my conscripts will freeze in it. I remain a master strategist. Stop comparing me to Hitler. He kept things he annexed for several years. I can barely manage several hours. New plan is to retreat from Le Mans so fast that Ukraine army will exhaust itself chasing us. I remain a master strategist. Do not believe anything until Kremlin denies it. TM. My logistics are so bad, I'll be first Russian leader to lose to Russian winter. I remain a master strategist. This account gives me life, honestly. It's like the funniest thing. It's the funniest thing in Twitter since the sliced bread has been invented in America, or it has reached America. As in discovered in America. Sorry, not invented. Oh my gosh, I was just so American. Give me a citizenship. I was just so American. I just said sliced bread was invented in America. You know, I just did what Americans do, and I just said, you know, that everything gets invented in America. Jesus Christ. Okay, Russia may attack Polish airports used to deliver Western military assistance for Ukraine, said the U.S. Senator Marco Rubio in an interview with CNN. President of Ukraine Volodymyr Zelensky, I receive at least 2 reports from our armed forces per day, 1 in the morning and 1 in the evening. The reports from this week mostly contain lists of cities and villages liberated in the course of our defense operation. Around 5 a.m., Russian troops launched a missile attack on Zaporizhia. The Russians fired about 10 missiles from the S-300 complex at Zaporizhia and 2 villages in the Zaporizhia region. So far, 1 casualty is known. Infrastructure facilities were also damaged, in particular the Children's Rehabilitation Center. The defeat of Russia in the Kharkiv region and Le Mans, combined with the Kremlin's inability to effectively and legitimately mobilize, is fundamentally changing the information space in the Russian Federation. Analysts at the Institute for the Study of War say. Increasingly, among Russian military observers and various experts, there is criticism on the Ministry of Defense and even the president. As a result of the actions of Russian troops in the Black Sea, 50,000 dolphins have already died, says ecologist and doctor of biological sciences Ivan Rusev. Without dolphins, which are at the top of the marine ecosystem, the sea will simply die. Now there are only 250,000 dolphins left in the Black Sea. So that's what I was saying, is that this war doesn't only impact Ukraine, it actually impacts the world, and it impacts the world in ways in which we as regular citizens don't really we don't think about it, right? So the gas leak at Nord Stream is going to impact the Baltic Sea incredibly, so severely. Same is going to happen, same is happening in the Black Sea to their maritime life, because their mines, there is an increased activity of ships, there is an increased activity of missiles and stuff, and all of that, it has residue, it has an effect, especially the sea mines. The sea mines have so much of an effect. So it makes this war is not only affecting Ukraine, and is not only affecting the world in ways that we are familiar with, right, and that we think about, but also in ways that we absolutely don't think about. The marine life, the ecosystems, the the flora and fauna, so to speak. And it's going to be brutal and devastating, and we're going to feel it for years to come, because it's only getting worse and worse. And now also we are at the verge of nuclear terrorism. Well, we are not at the verge of nuclear terrorism. We're living through nuclear terrorism, but we are at the verge of a nuclear threat, right? So there is that. And for everyone who's like, oh, why doesn't Russia just nuke Ukraine so NATO can respond to Russia? Do you understand the consequences of tactical nuclear weapons? Do you understand the consequences of using tactical nuclear weapons? I don't think you do. You know what? I didn't show this video yesterday because I thought it was fear mongering a little bit, and I thought that a lot of people can take it very wrong. But you know what? I'm going to show you this video today because I feel like people need to understand what the consequences of using nukes are, what they look like in worst case scenario, in like okay case scenario, and small case scenario. You need to understand what a nuclear war bears, you know? And I don't think people do. Like, it's not about tactical nukes. You need to understand that every nuke has an effect that it leaves behind. And whether it's a tactical nuke or whether it's, you know, like the nuke, you need to understand that this is not just, you know, fun and games. So I'm going to show you. It's not good English. It's English well. I speak English well. She speaks good English is not a thing. You can't say good English because that's not correct. You can't compliment me on my English and say it wrong. It's weird. But yes, I speak English well. I've been living in the US for 11 years and I speak English since I was 5 years old, and I learned it in Ukraine from a native speaker.
Population of nations engaged at war. NATO member states have 944 million people. The Russian Federation has 145 million people. Stage 1. Nuclear war. Elapsed time: 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours, 9 hours, 10 hours, 11 hours, 12 hours, 13 hours, 14 hours, 15 hours, 16 hours, 17 hours, 18 hours, 19 hours, 20 hours, 21 hours, 22 hours, 23 hours, 24 hours. Total global casualties at 178 million people. Losses of nations engaged at war. NATO member states have lost 9.1% of their total population. The Russian Federation has lost 62.9% of its total population. Stage 2, nuclear fallout. Elapsed time: 3 days, 6 days, 9 days, 12 days, 15 days, 18 days, 21 days, 24 days, 27 days, 30 days. Maximum radiation levels recorded, shown by degrees of latitude, in rem units. Total global casualties at 186 million people. Stage 3, nuclear winter. Elapsed time: 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, 9 months, 10 months. Minimum temperature recorded, shown by degrees of latitude, in Celsius degrees. Total global casualties at 548 million people. End of the simulation. Stand by.
So yeah, that's like a brief. DM me on Instagram, I'll send you that video. If you want to DM me on Instagram, I'll send you that video. But the thing is, like, I don't want to, you know, one of the reasons why I wasn't playing that video yesterday is because it's fear mongering. I think it's fear mongering in a way. It's not real, right? It's real. That's what it would happen if it was a full blown like nuclear war, right? But the thing is, like, tactical nukes would not create that effect. But tactical nukes would influence us for years and years and years to come, and it will be a disaster. And one of the reasons why I didn't want to show it yesterday is because I don't want people to freak out, right? And I don't want people to I don't want people to freak out. I don't want people to think that this would be like, this would be and this is like a possibility at the moment. Like, it is a very, 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 very incredibly remote possibility, right? It's not something that we are facing at the moment. We are facing the threat of tactical nukes, and I want you to take that I want you to take that information with a grain of salt. And I just want you to understand that every nuke is a cause, and every cause has an effect. And that effect is not just going to be like, oh, why doesn't Russia use nukes? And then the NATO steps in, as it said, and it just nukes Russia, and then Russia goodbye. No, that is really, 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 really going to cause a lot of fallout for decades to come. And it's not just going to be like, oh, like, a nuke fell and we are just living and watching. No, there is going to be a lot of consequences from that, and a lot of us are going to have to suffer through these consequences. So that's why everybody is actually trying to avoid that, because it's not just going to be like a broop and that's it, and NATO responds. No, it is still a very, 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 very terrible thing, and it should not happen under any circumstances. Around 5 a.m., Russian troops launched a missile attack on Zaporizhia. The Russians fired about 10 missiles from the S-300 complex at Zaporizhia and 2 villages in the Zaporizhia region. So far, 1 casualty is known. Infrastructure facilities were also damaged, in particular the Children's Rehabilitation Center. The defeat of Russia in the Kharkiv region and Liman, combined with the Kremlin's inability to effectively and legitimately mobilize, is fundamentally changing the information space in the Russian Federation, analysts at the Institute for the Study of War say. Increasingly, among Russian military observers and various experts, there is criticism of the Ministry of Defense and even the president. As a result of the actions of Russian troops in the Black Sea, 50,000 dolphins have already died, says ecologist and doctor of biological sciences Ivan Rusev. Without dolphins, this is what we were talking about recently. Sorry. The occupiers are blocking the exit channels of people from the temporarily occupied territories of Ukraine, said the Minister of Reintegration of the Temporarily Occupied Territories, Irina Vereshchuk. In fact, the men have become hostages of the enemy and may fall under forced mobilization. And that's a tactic that Russia has been doing. They've been doing that in Melitopol. They have been mobilizing civilians to go fight for Russia. Those same civilians that have been living under their occupation in their basically filtration camps for this entire time that Russia had a stronghold on their territories. Also here I have a question from Artem Bilyakov, and I'm not sure if you're Russian or Ukrainian. I would like to know. Also, here's the thing. I'm not going to share to New York, New York. Just give me a second. Let the sirens quiet down a little bit, and we're going to talk about it. I want to be a part of it. New York, New York. Anyways, so what is your study occupation and what college university do you study? Thank you. I am not going to answer to you which university I went to. I graduated more than 5 years ago. At this point, more than 5 years ago at this point, I graduated. I am a UX designer. My field of study was psychology and graphic design, and I also have a minor in history. I've always been incredibly interested. I've also always been incredibly interested in geopolitics, and I've always been incredibly interested in history, and that's basically what I do. Now, because when the invasion started, I saw that there is a huge gap in understanding of how we got here as a world, what Russia has done, and how many people have believed rewritten history. So I wanted to fill that gap by talking about everything that I know and by providing as much context as I can. So yeah, that's that. But constant. Someone's asking, is it normal in New York? And Grumpy is responding, constant on main streets. Grumpy, I do not live anywhere near a main street. So it's just normal for New York, especially for Brooklyn, because we have fire departments on like every corner. And yeah. And yeah, I saw that Michael, that Artem is Ukrainian. But yeah, that doesn't change the fact that I'm not going to publicly say where I went to college, because there are a lot of people that really like me. They're usually, oh, thank you, Jordy. Oh my God, thank you so much. Thank you. I love those peonies. There are a lot of people that really love me. Those people are usually either like far right Trump supporters, or Russian trolls, or, you know, just begrudged people who were trying to show off with their pristine knowledge of as minimal history as I knew in first grade. And then, you know, they had a little reality check. And so those people really, really love me, and I wouldn't really want them to go digging into my education. So no one knows which school I went to, and no one will be informed by which school I went to. No one is going to be informed by me about my name, and no one's going to be informed by me about any other details other than I live in New York. I have a French bulldog named Cindy, and I really hate fire sirens, but I'm used to them. And this is what you hear in my apartment through a closed window. So can you imagine what life is like when my windows are open? But also, good news is that it's really cold and I don't need to open my windows right now. Okay. Ukrainian forces resumed their counteroffensive in the north of the Kherson region and secured their positions in Zolota Balka and Kreshchenivka. According to Russian sources, Ukrainian forces also liberated Shevchenkivka and Lyubimivka, pushing the occupying forces back to a new defensive positions around Mykolaiivka, according to the Institute for the Study of War. Ukraine demonstrates successes in the Kherson region and changes the dynamics of the battle in its favor. U.S. Department of Defense. U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin added that there had been a kind of change in the dynamic of the battlefield. Austin attributed this change to the skills of the Ukrainian military and their strategic use of weapons supplied by U.S. and NATO allies. He also added that the Ukrainian military has used technologies of HIMARS and used them in the right way to attack warehouses, command, and control, which robs the Russian Federation of significant capabilities. At the same time, in his opinion, the Ukrainians changed the dynamics, and this created an opportunity for maneuver. Привет, Mykolaiv. But also, I know you're from Mykolaiv, and I know technically a girl from Lviv shouldn't tell you how to call Mykolaiv, but just for the sake of the fact that people understand that cities should be named Ukrainian names, could we please start calling Mykolaiv, because that's always been its name, and I know you're from there, and I know you have more prerogative to speak than I do, but like, please. Thank you. But yeah, basically, Ukrainians have been seizing the opportunity in Kherson direction because Russians have been getting much weaker, and we have been planning around it. So it's not like a wing operation, but at the same time, we are definitely taking advantage of the moment, and we're definitely taking advantage of Russian weaknesses, and it's paying off. Kadyrov and Prigozhin publicly undermined Putin's authority. Institute for the Study of War. After the deoccupation of Liman, they accused the military command of inability to quickly respond to the aggravation of the situation. Their statements on October 1st had a profound impact on the Russian information space. Together, they broke the narrative of the Kremlin, which was trying to soften the blow of the defeat around Liman, the analysts say. Yeah, see, my dad yesterday was very funny about it. He was like, I don't understand how Kadyrov has the prerogative to say these things, because Kadyrov should, like, you know, had it been anybody else, then they would already be like hung, or, you know, they would fall out of the window or something. And so my dad was like looking for a conspiracy in it, why he's saying that. Maybe they're like preparing stuff. And I'm like, okay, Dad, here's the thing. Kadyrov is the only leader in the Russian Federation whose people still have respect for him, right? So Kadyrov can say anything and everything, and Putin is going to And Putin is going to have to follow it, because he's not going to go against Kadyrov. He's not going to he's not going to throw Kadyrov out of the window. He's not going to undermine Kadyrov, because right now, oh my God. I'm an alien. I'm a legal alien. I'm Ukrainian in New York. I'm an alien. I'm a legal alien. I'm Ukrainian in New York. Figured, I would I would be entertaining you while the sirens are going. But so basically, Kadyrov is the only Russian general right now, only Russian figure of authority who still has authority over his people. So Chechens still, Kadyrovite Chechens still respect him, right? So Putin is not going to do anything to Kadyrov, no matter what Kadyrov says. He's just going to have to have a talk with him and tell him not to undermine his authority and influence. But also, the fact that Kadyrov did say that points to the fact that Kadyrov knows that he still has the respect of his people, while most other Russian leaders are really rapidly losing it. And also, there is a growing resistance in Russia among minorities who just want to separate from Russia, right? So I think one of the reasons why Kadyrov is criticizing Putin is because now he's trying to play both fields. He's trying to play a field in which, if Putin falls, if Putin's reputation falls, if his government falls, if Russia falls, if all these things start dropping down like dominoes, he wants his people to see that, he criticized this regime. He knew what he was saying. He knew what he was doing. And he is trying to sort of, play both fields, because for him, if he's smart enough, he needs to show his people that he's not just a sheep that follows Putin. Thank you, Netlin. Oh my gosh, Grand Canyon, so pretty. Thank you so much. But yeah, so it's deliberate, it's thought through. It's not just, it's not just like, oh, Kadyrov said something stupid and Putin didn't do anything about it. Why? Putin can't, and Kadyrov is not saying it because he's stupid. Kadyrov is actually saying it because for once he's trying to be smart about the future. At least that's what it looks like. That's in my opinion. Don't take it for granted. And don't take it as a fact. It is my analysis. Hi, Esperanto. Here is a map showing how the armed forces of Ukraine liberated Ukrainian territories from September 1st to October 1st. This is important now. And that is the Kharkiv offensive, and that is now spreading into Luhansk offensive little by little. And Liman is a very, very, very important strategic point in order to retake Luhansk back. So that is a very, 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 very important point here. NATO and okay, so here's something super funny actually. So here's something really, really funny that happened yesterday in my mod chat. One of my moderators sent me this screenshot, and it says: "Si muove il sottomarino Belgorod, NATO in allarme, test per il supersiluro Poseidon." Right? And so I didn't know what supersiluro is because although I do speak Italian, it's I've never had to say a nuclear warhead in Italian, I never really needed to say a nuclear torpedo in Italian or a nuclear warhead. So obviously I did not know what that was. So I thought maybe supersonic. And so I was like, Nazar, did you want me to translate that? And he's like, no, you don't speak Italian. And I'm like, no, I do. And he's like, oh, so why aren't you translating it? So basically, si muove il sottomarino Belgorod means they moved the the submarine Belgorod, named Belgorod, right? NATO in alarme, so like NATO is alarmed or NATO is worried. And then it says it's a test for the what I thought meant supersonic Poseidon, but it was like for the Poseidon like torpedo missiles, right? And so I found it so funny because Nazarov then found like a translation in Ukrainian from a different magazine, and they like translated what it meant. And they added that it's from the White Sea, which was from like the text or from the text of the article, which I said, I was like, he was like, oh, now it makes sense. And I was like, no, it doesn't, because I haven't read the article. So I don't know, I don't know the context of this, like send me the article. And then he sent me this like summary by a Ukrainian publication. And it's like, oh, they moved it to the White Sea and they're doing these tests and like blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, well, that was not in that snapshot. And also, I'm sorry. I said it was supersonic Poseidon, but I've never had to. Gianmarco, are you still here? Because I've never really had to, say super siluro in Italian, because I wonder in what conversation with Italians would I have ever needed to say nuclear warhead. And yes, Giorgia Meloni supports Ukraine. Yeah, well, at least she says she does. Oh, so NATO intelligence reports Russian submarine with weapon of the apocalypse and Poseidon torpedoes missing from base. La Repubblica. It is said that the Poseidon torpedo, armed with a nuclear warhead, is capable of causing a radioactive tsunami, capable of wiping out metropolitan areas like New York or Los Angeles, and is designed to avoid emitting the heat wave that NATO censors. According to the publication, NATO sent intelligence to Allied commands as it fears that the Russian Federation may test the Poseidon in the Kara Sea. Despite the warnings, few people believe that the super torpedo can be put into service. So here's the thing. Another interesting fact is that Russians don't really know how to use these nuclear warheads, nor do they really know how to use these submarines. And one of the dangers of them like using these submarines is that they actually do not know how to. They have never really had tests with these submarines. They have never really like had even simulations of tests for these submarines. The way that the operators of these submarines have learned how to use them is through a demonstration from the seller. So the people who sold those submarines, oh, thank you, Kay. Oh my gosh, there are a lot of paper cranes today. And thank you so much. But basically, yeah. So they were only demonstrated how to use these nuclear warheads as a hypothetical from a manufacturer. And that's nothing. No armies ever, no militaries ever have equipment that they have never tested other than like a demonstration from the manufacturer. So that's a problem. That's an even bigger problem than them knowing how to use it, because the opportunity to screw up royally here is very big. And we know that Russia loves to screw up royally. But on the flip side of that, they might not even know how to use them. They might not even know how to maintain them, and these warheads might not even be in the right shape that they need to be, sent to wherever they want to send them. Former CIA chief David Petraeus spoke about the U.S. response to Russia's nuclear strike on Ukraine. He spoke about this in an interview with ABC News. U.S.-led NATO forces will respond to the nuclear escalation, which is openly spoken about by Deputy Security Council Chairman Dmitry Medvedev and Chechen leader Ramzan Kadyrov, and which Putin himself has repeatedly hinted at. We will destroy all conventional forces that we can see and identify on the battlefield in Ukraine and Crimea, as well as Russian ships in the Black Sea. So this is interesting because this is the first concrete response that somebody had given to what is going to happen if Russia uses nuclear weapons in Ukraine. And here I'm going to read it again. This is David Petraeus, and he is the former CIA chief. And so this is what he said would happen if Russia used nukes on Ukraine, tactical or not. So I'm going to read this again because this is genuinely the first concrete response from a US official or from someone who has a significant experience in such things. Or from someone who has significant experience in this field that has been given as like a response to Russia's aggression like that, right? US-led NATO forces will respond to the nuclear escalation, which is openly spoken about by Deputy Security Council Chairman Dmitry Medvedev and Chechen leader Ramzan Kadyrov, and which Putin himself has repeatedly hinted at. We will destroy all conventional forces that we can see and identify on the battlefield in Ukraine and Crimea, as well as all Russian ships in the Black Sea. So they're basically saying that if Putin uses nukes on Ukraine, they will destroy all of his forces that are on the territory of Ukraine, and they will destroy his Black Sea fleet. While I think that that's a very minimal response, and I don't think, I think that this is this is not enough of a response, because this is just like, you should destroy all of his forces and you should literally genuinely try to take him down, because destroying his army in Ukraine is really just the tip of the iceberg, right? There is a lot more issues than that. There is a lot more chain of command than that. That will stand behind Putin. Энди Крас, ну пусть попробуют, ну хорошо, давай пусть попробуют, давай посмотрим, что НАТО может сделать с твоей путинской армией. Но если тебе так нравится Россия, тебе так нравится жить в России, ты так стоишь за Путиным, солнышко, почему ты еще не в военкомате? Ну им же нужны добровольцы защищать свою страну. Чего ты вон сидишь в интернете? Чувак, ну вот у вас мобилизация, вам нужны мужики здоровые, не алкоголики. Ты вроде вон не алкоголик, писать умеешь, читать умеешь, даже слушать умеешь. В армии это хорошо. Чего ж ты здесь сидишь, солнышко? Надо идти страну защищать, не? Ну, камон. Ну, если НАТО плохое, а Россия классная, так чего ж ты не воюешь-то с НАТО? Я не понимаю, ну вот НАТО угрожает России. Иди воюй, заяц. Anyways, Armin over here always sends me quotes every day. And as you know, or as you might not know, I really appreciate those quotes. And I think they're always so on point, and I think they're always so relevant. So I am going to read it again. Quintus Harietus Flaccus wrote, "Force without wisdom collapses from its own weight. Russia is large, but largeness without logic is futile. Russia's only true enemy is its wild and stupid mentality." Yeah, I actually really do agree with that. I very rarely disagree with you, Armin, to be honest. I genuinely think that, your one quote summarizes this stream so well and is always so good, and is always so very good at capturing the essence of what is going on, which is why I really appreciate these quotes. And I genuinely very much am waiting forward to them on daily streams. And I think that's so right, because Russia, poses itself as the largest country in the world. But it's large in what? It's the largest country in the population of poor people. Yeah, it has a vast territory that's mostly not populated by anything because it's taiga in Siberia. And it's basically nuclear winter there all the time, because it's just the level of living and the level of conditions there is awful. Most of Russia's immediate population lives in the western part of Russia, and everything else is just a mud forest with terrible, terrible climate. So yeah, it's, the size doesn't really matter in terms of territorial gains. And I don't know why they would need more territory to begin with. But the size of Russia really doesn't matter in any way, shape, or form. If it was completely populated, then sure. If it was super, 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 super tightly populated, then sure. But it is not. Former British Prime Minister Boris Johnson will become head of the Conservative Friends of Ukraine party group in the UK Parliament, the Daily Telegraph. Head of the Conservative Friends of Ukraine party group at the UK Parliament. Okay, Bojo. The Russian occupation forces began the forced mobilization of the local population in the occupied Melitopol region. This was announced by the mayor of Melitopol, Ivan Fedorev. As I was saying,
Sorry, I didn't understand.
hey Google, stop. Telling you, my day today, is just all over the place. I'm also not on my best game today, and I can feel that. So I'm sorry if I'm being a little repetitive. I'm just, I'm still kind of trying to get, myself together. I'm very, very tired recently. My brain is running a million miles per hour for no particular reason. I'm going to play you this video. No, most of it is not like suited for living really, but I'm going to play you a video from Ukraine now. And then we're going to come back to our discussion.
Обижены на то, что вас туда всех согнали. Непонятно, товарищи военнослужащие. Я не знаю, а зачем вы так себя ведете? Правда, смотрите, потасовка драка, блядь, что это такое? Будет время, подеретесь, повоюете еще.
Oh my gosh. Pillow fight. With who? With Cine? Oh, pillow. Sorry, the pillow fight with Russians. Yeah, I mean, what else can they do? It's not like they can learn how to mobilize, It's not like they can learn military craft, They're just going to be fighting with each other, and they're just going to be drinking, and they're just going to be doing what they know how to do best. There is a joke in Ukraine that we use very often, and one of those and the joke is basically like, here's the thing. We wouldn't really even need to waste our military potential on Russians if we just started drone dropping. If we just started drone dropping alcohol onto their bases, because that way they would just start drinking and retreating themselves, and we could just come in and collect them, basically. Because I am not even joking, but the level of alcoholism in the Russian army is staggering. The level of alcoholism in Russia is staggering. When I first started doing this in February, on February 24th, basically, or like right after February 24th, somebody had asked me what the level of alcoholism of Russia is. And, I went on Russian health ministry website just for shits and giggles, because we know that their data is not going to be correct. But I went on their website, and I learned that the Russian health ministry thinks that in Russia, only 1% of the less than 1% of the population drinks every day of the week. I think it was like 5% of the population that drinks 3 times a week, and most of the people just drink socially on weekends. And I was laughing at it so much, because Russia has a significant issue with alcoholism. Like, most of their population drinks every single day, because most of their population lives in remote areas without toilets, without electricity, without gas, without normal jobs, without anything to do. It's like, here is something that I'm going to say, and please don't get offended at me, but I've been to multiple small towns in North Dakota. I've been to multiple small towns in like South Dakota. I've been to multiple small towns in the Midwest. And one of the things that I've noticed that happens there is that there is a lot of the rate of alcoholism in those small towns, because there is nothing to do. There is literally simply nothing to do in those small towns. And so people resort to alcoholism, right? Thank you, Melissa. And so imagine if in North Dakota, in like Oklahoma, in Minnesota, in South Dakota, in those places, most people resort to alcoholism because there is nothing to do. But they have toilets, they have gas, and they have electricity, and they have bars to go and drink in. Okay, so that's already not circumstances enough to like push somebody, right? These are already better conditions. Now imagine a country where only 30% of the population are connected to the gas system and to the and to central sewage systems. 25% actually connected to central sewage, 30% to gas, and 30% to electricity. So imagine what's happening in those super remote villages, and like they don't have roads, it's mud. In the winter, they're cut off from civilization, and they will have like a van come in once a week with like products, and you need to go buy them. And if you don't, then you starve for that week until the van comes next week. So their alcoholism rates are staggering. And I know Russia loves to lie about everything, but goddamn, there is no way you can lie that much and you expect the world to believe that only 1% of your population drinks every day. Most of the population of Russia spends most of their paycheck on vodka, on cheap vodka. Like not even like vodka in general, just cheap vodka. And they just drink themselves to oblivion because it's cold. First of all, it's really, really, really cold. It's really cold there. And one of the reasons why people drink so much is because it's supposed to like warm you up. When you're drunk, you don't really feel that cold. So imagine most of the places in Russia where winters are brutal, where even summers are not that warm, and you are cut off from civilization. What are you going to do? You're going to drink. So come on, levels of alcoholism under 1%. Sure, look at the men conscripted into the Russian army. Look at the men conscripted into the Russian army. They are all alcoholics. Where do they get the money to buy alcohol? Oh, moonshine, baby. Moonshine's cheap to make. Chifir is cheap to make. You know, there is this thing in Russia, it's called chifir. So it's like chai, kefir. So what they do is they put they basically take a bucket of like hot water, warm up a bucket of water. They put a ton of tea bags into that water, and they wait for it to get super, super, super potent. You know how like when you leave a tea bag in the tea for a very long time, and then you drink the tea and it's like it has that like bitterness to it because it's overly saturated. So that's what they want. They put tea bags into hot water, and like a bucket, right? And you let it sit there for like 2 days until it's so potent that it's not okay anymore, and you drop bread in it. And so that tea with the bread, the yeast starts brewing, and basically by the end of like a 4 to 5 day period, it becomes chifir, and it becomes alcoholic. And so when you drink it, you basically like you're like you're like hallucinating. It's like a drug. It's like a simulation of a drug based on like yeast and some component of tea reacting together. It's ridiculous, but it's a cheap way to get drunk. They also make moonshine very often. So they don't necessarily need a lot of money to get very, very drunk. Moonshine is a very, very, very popular hobby in Russia. Most men know how to make moonshine. More than 1.22 million collected in the Czech Republic for the T-72 Avenger tank for Ukraine. This modification of the Soviet T-72 M1 tank features improved crew protection as well as new sights. Journalists from The Guardian showed footage of one of the columns of Russian invaders that burned down while trying to escape from Liman. Take a look. Sinya. The use of nuclear weapons by Russia and Ukraine is unlikely, British Secretary of Defense Ben Wallace is convinced. However, he noted that Russian President Vladimir Putin is acting irrationally. Kazakh Foreign Ministry spokesman Aybek Smadiyarov said that the participation of the CSTO in the zone of Russian-Ukrainian hostilities was out of the question, local media reported. In particular, Kazakhstan, according to the UN Charter, will not participate in the war unleashed by Russia. In general, the area of responsibility of the CSTO is clearly defined by the internationally recognized territories of the member states of the organization, and collective security is ensured within these territories. Thus, the issue of CSTO participation in the zone of the Russian-Ukrainian conflict is not on the agenda, he said. Russian ambassadors to Finland, Poland, and Portugal were summoned to the foreign ministry because of the so-called referenda on joining the Russian Federation. Donetsk, Luhansk, Zaporizhia, and Kherson regions, writes Russian media. At the same time, the Italian foreign ministry has already protested to the Russian ambassador for the same reason, and the foreign ministry said that the diplomatic representative of the Russian Federation would be summoned to the department in the near future. Interesting. So, I'm not really, I don't know why they will be summoned in the near future. I feel like a better way to prove a point would be just summoning them now and quite literally just relieving them from their responsibilities and evacuating them, right? Or like rather evicting them in that way. The occupiers left a lot of mines and stretch marks at the exit from Liman. According to the speaker of the Eastern grouping of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Serhiy Cheravate, foreign journalists want to get into the city, but now it is very dangerous there and there is a need to wait until the deminers clear the area. So yeah, retreating from Liman, Russian forces left an incredible amount of mines there. And so we are probably, as you know, as I said, every time Ukraine liberates a town, we get very, very happy because it's strategically important, because there is a lot going on, and because it's good news. But what we forget about is all of the losses and all of the casualties that are going to follow that, and that we are going to discover. And so while journalists have very limited access to Liman, we're not going to hear any of that. But I would say that by the end of the week or in the beginning of the next week, we're going to start hearing about everything that's been going on in Liman, and we're going to find a lot of very, very disturbing stuff. I'm going to say that, you know, people are all scared about what we're going to find in Mariupol. And yes, I am scared too, and it's going to be horrendous. But also think about what we are going to find when we deoccupy Crimea, and then think about what we're going to find when we deoccupy Donetsk and Luhansk that have been under Russian occupation for the past 8 years. The armed forces of Ukraine have liberated the village of Borova in the Izum district of the Kharkiv region, and part of the community. The cleanup of the territories there is currently underway. Here is a video from there.
Нарешті ти вдома. Нарешті це Україна. Слава Україні! Це так і повинно бути.
Donbass will be much worse than Crimea, but also Crimea has lots of casualties among Crimean Tatars because Russia was conducting an ethnocide there, and Russia was conducting ethnic cleansing there. So I think that, yes, maybe the amount of victims in Donbass is going to be higher, but there are going to be a lot of atrocities in Crimea that are going to be pertaining to Crimean Tatars over the last 8 years. Sini, please be, thank you very much. Lithuania declares Russian charge d'affaires Sergei Ryabakon persona non grata. Lithuania made this decision given that Ryabakon's recent actions and statements are incompatible with his diplomatic status and can be considered as interference in the internal affairs of the host country, and accordingly a violation of the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations, the Foreign Ministry said in a statement. The National Guard of Ukraine reported that it liberated the village of Zolota Balka in the Kherson region. The Ukrainian flag is there again.
Пане президент, Золота Балка звільнена Національної гвардії України. Слава Україні!
Героям слава! Роман, я бы сказал, взять. Слава Україні! Слава Україні! Перемога буде за нами. І нас список на тебе. За що ти нашого? Слава Україні! Слава Україні!
So this is another video from Ukraine Now, and I'm going to share it. Obviously, you guys know I really like this resource. I think that their videos are fantastic. I really like the format, and I think that they really highlight the bullet points very well. Here is the title to the video. It says, "The ceremony of the annexation of Ukrainian territories in the Kremlin recorded another international crime of the Putin regime, committed in real time and with special pleasure. The signed documents have no legal force and will not be recognized by either Ukraine or the civilized world. However, Putin's speech itself reveals both the psychological and emotional state of the Russian elite and the mindset of the Kremlin's leaders." The traditional method of making vodka uses potatoes. Well, that depends where, because Ukrainian vodka is made out of wheat. We don't use potatoes for our vodka. Our vodka is made out of wheat, and actually, vodka made out of wheat, vodka made out of wheat, but vodka made out of wheat is much smoother than vodka that is made out of potatoes. Just FYI, not that I'm a huge vodka expert, but I know that much. Did I forget to send this to myself? Of course I forgot to send it to myself. Oh, sorry, one sec, guys, but you can, you on TikTok can see Cindy chewing her little thingy. Canadian whiskey. Come on, Putin. Stop. Oh, hi, Rue. Good to see you. I feel like I haven't seen you in a little while. Okay. Why? I keep sending this video to myself. What the heck? I keep sending this video to my computer and it just keeps not going through. It's so weird. Okay, finally, my gosh. Is it? Come on. Okay. Got it. Yay. That was fun. Okay, stop. There we go. My gosh. Sorry, guys. That was a lot. Oh, whoa. So that is that was a video from Ukraine Now. As you guys know, if you're new here, I do a lot of these videos. I think they're very great. I really like this resource. I think they do very good like bullet points, and I think they summarize things very, very well. You might disagree. You might not like them. I do like them very much. Question: Did all of you already watch? The interview with Tork, or have not all of you seen it yet? And I'm asking this because I'm very curious to hear your feedback on it. If you had watched it, there is a prompt on YouTube in the community section that I put out, and it says, "Have you watched the video? If yes, answer this like poll." And then under the poll, you can comment. And so if you have watched it, can you please comment what you liked, disliked, or what you hope could be better in the next video? Like someone said that sound was not very even, and that's true because I'm still learning. And in the beginning of the video, the voiceover sound came in much quieter than my original introduction, and then it kind of evened back out. But I'm working on it. So if you watched it, please give me your commentary. It doesn't necessarily have to be about the content. It can be about the structure. It can be about the things that could be done better for you to like be more engaged or something like that. You can tell me watch a video and stuff like that. Please, please, please let me know. I'm very curious to hear your feedback. So yeah, there is that. Okay, France intends to hand over 20 Bastion armored vehicles to Ukraine. It is a 12.5-ton vehicle full of captive soldiers. The vehicle developed in France for export has been supplied to African countries for many years. Dmitry Peskov said that the borders of the temporarily occupied Kherson and Zaporizhia regions have not yet been determined. Oh, I wonder why. Is that maybe because you're retreating from those regions and you don't control the majority of them, huh? See, this is a very interesting, awkward predicament that Russia had put itself in because, they annexed the territories that they don't control. So they said they would consult the local population on where the Russian borders should be drawn. But the thing is, the local population does not want to be a part of Russia. So the local population is going to tell them to draw the borders of Russia, further than the borders of Russia were right now, because we just want to be as far away from them as possible. The Russians hit a medical facility in the Kupiansk district of the Kharkiv region that was recently liberated. Ukraine offers the administration of U.S. President Joe Biden to agree on potential targets in case of transferring ATACMS missiles to the Ukrainian armed forces. CNN, citing U.S. officials, reported this. Such transparency essentially gives the U.S. veto power over Ukraine's actions on certain types of weapons from its allies, and is intended to convince Washington that providing the long-range missiles will not lead to strikes on the territory of Russia, which the United States fears. Yeah, I don't know why they didn't do that from the very beginning, because Ukraine is not trying to attack Russia by any means. We literally, in the 8 months that we've been on the battlefield, have proved integrity on an enormous level, and we have quite genuinely been we have been the most responsible with the U.S. weapons in the history of U.S. lending someone weapons. The head of Chechnya, Ramzan Kadyrov, stated that he was going to send his 3 underage sons to the war against Ukraine. It's time to show yourself in the real fight, he wrote on Telegram. All of his sons are under the age of 18. Elon Musk's meltdown on Twitter. Elon Musk asks how peace can be achieved between Ukraine and Russia and offers conditions that followers can agree to or not. Among the conditions are elections in the annexed territories under UN supervision. Crimea remains Russia, as it has been since 1783, before Khrushchev's mistake. Ukraine remains neutral. In subsequent tweets, Musk keeps ratcheting up tensions, saying all of these things he listed are just a matter of time. Also worth nothing that a possible, albeit unlikely, outcome from this conflict is nuclear war, added Elon Musk. First of all, he's saying that Russia is going to take back Crimea and that these regions are going to stay Russian anyway. And when was the last time you back the battlefield? Like, anyone with any moving brain cells, even like one neuron firing, will see that Russia has been suffering on the battlefield, and even Russian propagandists are not denying it anymore. Why Elon Musk is still denying it? I don't know. Is Russia trying to fund a project of his that's coming up, like the new social media network that has been rumored? I don't know if you missed that. So I sometimes like get some very, very random news from very random resources, but there has been a conversation between Elon Musk and like former Twitter CEO about them trying to do a decentralized social media platform together because Elon Musk was not able to buy Twitter. And they're both basically like, I don't know, pardon my French, jerking off at each other and like loving each other's ambitions and stuff like that. And that project is super costly. And so, obviously Elon Musk would need to fund it. So I'm curious, is he like hoping for Russia to fund his little project? Like, what's going on there while he's doing drugs? Is he like, Putin can like, Putin can send me weapons. Oh no, I know that he's looking for attention. I know that he just wants to be the controversial man with a non-mainstream opinion. We've talked about it in the beginning, but yeah. Also, there have been a lot of responses to Elon Musk that are far better than Zelensky's. And one of them is from Paul Massaro. He's a frontline journalist. And he said, Ukraine-Russia peace. Ukraine liberates all its sovereign territory. Russia decolonizes, demilitarizes, and denuclearizes. In the event of a referendum on Ukraine's accession to NATO, this initiative would be supported by 83% of Ukrainians, the most in the entire history of observations. These are the data of the survey of the sociological group rating. The next one is Zelensky's answer, which is, which Elon Musk do you like more? One who supports Ukraine or one who supports Russia? The village of Shevchenkivka, Kherson region, is again under the Ukrainian flag. So I've also noticed that there are a couple of journalists online on Twitter that say this thing that I'm not trying to shit on them because there is nothing to shit on, but I just want to warn everybody for the importance of language. So, there are a lot of cities in Ukraine, and there is this very popular saying, Kherson is Ukraine, Zaporizhia is Ukraine, Crimea is Ukraine, right? And that's all good and well. That is true, and that is our saying. But I've seen a lot of foreign journalists do this very interesting thing. Once a village is liberated, they post a photo of the liberation of the village, and as a caption, they write, Nova Kakhovka is Ukraine. And the way that it sounds is Nova Kakhovka now is Ukraine, now that they have entered Nova Kakhovka, but it's always been Ukraine. So a better way to say that would be Nova Kakhovka is under the Ukrainian flag again, because it never stopped being Ukraine. And I know that they are referring to, to just to the motto, to the slogan that, this place is Ukraine. All of these places are Ukraine. But what it ends up subliminally sounding as is, oh, now that the Ukrainian army entered it, it's Ukraine. But it's always been Ukraine and never stopped being Ukraine. It was just occupied by Russia. The director of the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant, Ihor Murashov, has been released from the captivity of the Russian invaders, said Rafael Grossi, Director General of the International Atomic Energy Agency. The Russian military again kidnapped Olena Naumova, a TikTok blogger from Kherson. Her son Mykola, thank you so much, Netlin. Her son Mykola reported that he has had no news about his mother's whereabouts since September 21st. Already on September 22nd, a video where Olena, with bruises under her eyes, apologizing in Russian, uncharacteristic of her lately for insulting the Russian military, appeared. The Russian occupiers first kidnapped Naumova on August 23rd and subsequently released her under house arrest. For almost 2 weeks, the woman was in the city waiting for permission from representatives of the occupation authorities to leave. And now she has been kidnapped again. So that's just something that happens to Kherson residents and to residents of occupied Russian territories when they are speaking pro-Ukraine, right? And so when you see things like that, and then Elon Musk tweets like, oh, we should do a referendum. under the UN supervision, the most useless agency in the world, or whatever agency you consider to be useful, right? It's just not going to happen. These people are going to be scared. These people have been scared into submission. These people have been tortured into submission. And also most of the people who live in these areas have fled. How do you expect these people to vote? Also, the people who have been tortured, the people who have been killed, the Ukrainians who have been killed in thousands, are they going to be able to vote? Whether they want to be in Russia or in Ukraine? Are you going to make up a specific, I don't know, mind-reading device that can take out someone's memories from before their death, Elon Musk, and like somehow figure out how to give them a vote? Because, you know, Russia can implant enough Russian people to vote in the favor of what they want them to vote for. It's a 145 million people nation. You know, they can bring in paid people. That's what they've been doing, to vote for the cause that works for them. There is no way the UN or Red Cross or whoever else can have enough prerogative over Russia to supervise a referendum. Also, there is no need. Like, the thing about the second referendum pisses me off so much, or the second voting or something like that, because the first one is not legitimate to begin with. It's a sham. So what do you mean? So there's a sham referendum under the barrel of a gun. And you're like, oh, well, if you want to prove that Ukrainians want to be in Ukraine, why don't we do a real referendum? There is no reason for a referendum. Nobody asked for it. The only reason there is a referendum is because Russia came in with guns and forced it. So I don't understand how people don't understand the simple thing. It's not about the referendum. It's not about the whole, thank you, Kay. It's not about the whole thing of, you know, oh, let's do a real referendum then. Like, okay, well, then let's do a referendum in California about where California wants to be. Let's do a referendum let's do a backtracked referendum in Canada, you know, and like, let's give Canada back to to Inuits. Let's give America back to Native Americans. Let's give Alaska back to Russia, because, you know, that was Russia at some point too. Like, no, but nobody in America was like, you know, asking for a referendum, right? But hey, someone can come in and say like, yo, they want a referendum, and come in with gun barrels and force Americans to vote in a referendum. And then what? We're going to force people to do an actual referendum when there was no need to do one to begin with? That just reinforces Russian propaganda, and that reinforces their influence. Cini, what are you doing? Chill out, dude. Sorry, my dog's a little feisty. Activists of the Czech movement Darek pro Putina, Gift for Putin, collected 33 million crowns, $1.3 million, and purchased a tank for the Ukrainian armed forces. They named it Tomase. We will feed Tomase and his friends. We will send 1,000 gifts to Putin, the activists wrote. Russia stole 530 million of Ukrainian grain and invested the money in the war, a joint Associated Press and PBS Frontline investigation. Journalists investigated the routes of 30 ships transporting grain from Ukraine's occupied territories to ports in Turkey, Syria, Lebanon, and other countries. In some cases, the Russians falsified custom declarations, while in other, they exported Ukrainian grain in small batches to the Russian cities of Rostov and Taganrog. There, they mixed it with their grain and exported it as Russian. Farmers in the occupied regions are forced to sell their crops to Russian-controlled companies at half price compared to pre-war tariffs. Those who refuse, the Russians simply take the grain from them. AP quotes Ivan Fedorov, the mayor of Melitopol, as saying, It's plunder and looting, and it's also a criminal offense under international humanitarian law. David Crane, former chief prosecutor of the UN Special Court for Sierra Leone. Musk did not understand anything. We're not afraid. It is better to die from a nuclear attack in one moment than to live under Russian occupation. Yeah, you know what? I as much as I don't want a nuclear attack, and I was talking about it earlier, Res 7, here is something he says. Roman Hrishchuk, member of the Parliament of Ukraine, Musk did not understand anything. We're not afraid. It is better to die from a nuclear attack in one moment than to live under Russian occupation. I fully agree with him. If I had a choice between dying from a nuke and living under Russia, I would rather die from a nuke, because I would not want to be tortured, belittled, and prosecuted my whole life for wanting to be what I fucking am, a Ukrainian, and for wanting to speak my native language, which is Ukrainian, and for wanting to love my fucking poets who fought for me to be able to be Ukrainian. Привет. Yeah. Yes. If that didn't threaten the entire world, and if that nuke was going to just fall on me and my two options were to die from a nuclear attack than to live under Russian occupation, I would rather die a Ukrainian, a proud fucking Ukrainian, than live a day under Russian occupation. And whatever Elon Musk thinks, nobody cares. Just because a man has money doesn't mean he's smart, doesn't mean he knows what he's talking about. Yeah, he knows how to build Teslas. That's his stuff. And that's where he should stay. Now, him making a poll asking people who are not Ukrainian what to do with Ukrainian land is really irrelevant, because you know what? He's not Ukrainian. You know whose opinion doesn't matter about what Ukraine should do? Not Ukrainian opinion. It is our country. It is our borders. It is our people. And it is up to us. And the world should stop trying to decide for us. You want to help? Then help us in the ways that we ask you for. You don't want to help? Then stop telling us what to do. A few photos from liberated Liman. Take a look. Life under Russian occupation. Beautiful. Been there for 7 months. Couldn't repair a single fucking window. That said mines, by the way. Ukraine destroyed 97 Russian ammunition depots and 62 Russian military bases. Here's what that looks like. Okay, so this is all I have. Let me check Kyiv Independent and see what I can do there. See what's going on there. Because usually we will look at Kyiv Independent. Russian front lines are collapsing. Thank you, Rich. Putin's acceptance of problems highlights dysfunction of mobilization, says UK intelligence. UK Defense Ministry says Putin is highly unlikely to use nuclear weapons in Ukraine. US Defense Secretary, Ukrainian military changes battlefield dynamics in Russia's war. Kremlin spokesman, Russia to consult locals on borders of annexed Kherson Zaporizhia Oblast because they can't figure out the borders. That's because they don't control the territories even. Ukraine liberates Arkhangelsk, Myrolubivka, and Kherson Oblast. EU consumes 4 times less Russian gas than before all-out invasion. Lithuania's defense ministry, negotiations on Ukraine joining NATO should begin now. Ukraine can count on Lithuania's unconditional support in relation to NATO membership, even if it looks like an elusive goal, said Lithuanian Defense Minister Arvydas Anušauskas, according to Lithuanian media outlet LRT. Despite the war in Ukraine, negotiations with 30 NATO member countries and other formal procedures should already begin, said Anušauskas. Ukraine liberates Borova village in Kharkiv region. Zelensky at Harvard University says prevention key to lasting peace. Some world leaders are so afraid of deadly consequences that they pretend they don't hear anything until the catastrophic news, Zelensky said. Zaporizhia nuclear power plant head released from Russian captivity. Governor says 1 person killed, 1 injured in Russian attack on hospital in Kharkiv Oblast. 100% львів'янка, так. Панянка зі Львова. Azovstal defenders reunite with families. First Lady Olena Zelenska met with Ukrainian commanders known for defending Mariupol and liberated during a September 21st prisoner swap. They're bound to stay in Turkey until the wars end, but they're going to be visited by their families, and most likely most of their families are going to decide to stay with them for that time period. Ukrainian army repels Russian attacks near 5 settlements. Media. Bulgarian president opposes Ukraine's fast-track NATO accession. Who would have thought? Bulgaria is notoriously pro-Russian. Ukraine war latest. Ukraine making more gains in east and south. Ukraine's counteroffensive appears to be progressing in Kharkiv, Donetsk, Luhansk, and Kherson Oblast. Explosions heard in Russian-occupied Skadovsk, Kherson Oblast. Suspilne media outlet reported. Citing residents, the explosions were heard in the city on October 3rd. Russia stole at least 530 million of Ukrainian grain. Also, there is now a video of Azovstal defenders reuniting with their families. And you know what? I'm going to stay over time and I'm going to show you that video, even though it is 2 minutes long and I am way over 2 hours now, well, 5 minutes over 2 hours, and most likely not going to end this until 2 hours and 20 minutes, because we also need to wind down and answer all of the questions. But I really, really want you to see this video because it's so sweet and it's so good and it's so palate cleansing, and it's so good to see these guys, these warriors, reunite with their families. Правда, Сеня? Правда? Сеня? Сеня? Що ти робиш? Сеня? Що ти робиш? Заєць? Що ти робиш? Заєць? Ні-ні-ні-ні-ні-ні. Ми не будемо мене їсти. Ні-ні-ні. Ні-ні. Ні-ні-ні. Сині. She, you would eat me. If you could, you would eat me. What's that? 1 second. It's just uploading and then, oh, good. So save video and send it so I can show it to you on the big screen. For some reason, this video does true because I feel like I've seen it before, no, but I haven't, obviously. So it's a very strange feeling when you have a deja vu in something like this. Okay. Share video file. Please tell, oh my God, why does it keeps doing this? It just doesn't, where it doesn't send the video. It says that it sends the video and then it just doesn't. Why is it canceled? For what reason? Failed why? Tell me. Why did it fail? Again? Why? This is so annoying. 1 second, guys. One second, sorry. Oh. Okay, let's try again. Oh my God, finally. Nope. Oh man. Okay, one more time. I'm sorry, guys. What is going on? Okay, well, I think maybe I know why. Maybe it'd be, probably I have too many videos on my computer. Okay, well, let's do this. I'm gonna empty the trash. Hopefully that's gonna free up some space, and then I can send the video. Hopefully it's gonna go through and not have the same issues as usual. Yes, oh my God, thank God. No, I think it's just that I don't have enough space because I forgot that I send videos to myself on my computer daily, and it's probably like I need to clear some space. That would make the most sense. I know that you want to, James, I know that you want to blame Apple in it, but that's not necessarily what it is this time.
Яшка, дома!
Где Богдан? Привет. Что, не чекали? Привет. А ну кажи слава Україні.
Слава Україні!
Битва за Маріуполь і все, що відбулося з нами, вихід з полону, це українське диво наперекір долі. Всі прекрасно розуміють, що з нами повинно було статися. Тут є люди, які знають, що таке російські тортури та російський полон. І ця нагорода – це нагорода наших воїнів. Це нагорода нашого українського народу. І я дуже гордий з того, що я українець. Це найкрутіша нація на світі. І найкрутіша влада та найкрутіші військові.
Те, що ми всі пишаємось вами, і я дуже щасливий, що з вами рідні, близькі. І дуже щасливий, що ви у нас такі є. І найголовніше, що ви не просто герої, а що ви у нас такі є живі герої. І це дуже важливо. Я дякую кожному із вас. І ми зробимо все, щоб забрати ваших близьких побратимів, які зараз в полоні. Ось, нема що додати. Пишаюсь, що ми живемо в одній країні і за неї разом боремось. І точно переможемо. І вам цього бажаю від душі. Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Okay, so I'm very quickly going to respond to one question that I got on, let me see, that I got on Twitch, I think. So, Taz is asking, did the guy with broken arm gain enough weight for the surgery yet? No, not yet. His name is Mikhailo Dianov, and he is, but there, so first of all, he's got 6 million hryvnias donated by the Ukrainian people, and he only needed 1 million, and they all came through in order to help him with his first stages of recovery. And now Shakhtar Donetsk, which is a club, a soccer club, a football club from Donetsk, and he's a fan of Shakhtar Donetsk. He's a soccer fan of that football club. They decided to take all of the expenses for his surgery and for him getting better and for him getting treatment onto themselves. So Shakhtar Donetsk is now going to be treating him and giving him everything he needs for surgery and recovery. So that'll be fantastic. It's a great PR move. I mean, we know they do it for PR, but at the end of the day, it's still a good deed. I am on Twitch, yes. Supreme Court fails to dismiss deputy with Russian passport. The commercial chamber of Ukraine's Supreme Court on October 3rd failed to gather enough votes to fire Bogdan Lvov from the job of the chamber's chairman. Days prior, Ukraine's security service confirmed that Lvov is a Russian citizen, which he continues to deny. That is problematic. That is very, very problematic. And that is the sort of bureaucracy that we're fighting against. And that is the sort of bureaucracy that Zelensky has been trying to eliminate. But sometimes, the system is so polluted that it's really hard to pull off. Ukraine liberates settlements in several oblasts over the past 24 hours. On October 3rd, the Ukrainian military liberated the village of Borova, Kharkiv Oblast. According to the local council, Borova is located east of the Oskil River. Kherson, we're coming. Borova is in Kharkiv, but, provided that we are liberating and liberating and liberating. Kherson is, як це кажуть, as they say, незабаром, which means not far away. Russian forces shell Kharkiv infrastructure, and Bloomberg says most valuable U.S. chipmaker seizes Russian operations. California-based chipmaker NVIDIA Corp had already suspended its shipments to Russia, but had maintained a presence there to support our employees and their families, the company said in a statement on October 3rd, Bloomberg reports. It is now ceasing all activities in the country, the company said. As Russia's war enters its 8 months, the chipmaker said that with recent developments, we can no longer operate effectively there. All employees will be given the option of continuing their jobs in other countries. Oh, fun. So all of the Russian employees now are going to be given visas to other countries. Well, good luck with that. First of all, most countries are not going to accept that. Second of all, it is really so screwed up of NVIDIA to keep supporting Russians and bringing them abroad for a better life. That's fantastic. Thank you, NVIDIA. Well, that is all I had for you today. Let me gently remind you that if you want to see the news after hours, which is when I'm not live, hi, Peter, then please follow me on Twitter. It's the same as all of my social media. It's the same as TikTok, same as YouTube, same as Twitch, same as, you can also join me on Twitter. And I repost a lot of stuff, and, I do not tame my opinions there because Twitter doesn't care and doesn't censor, which I really like. Well, to a normal point, but still. And then also, if you haven't watched the interview with the Azovstal defender Tork yet, please take some time and watch it. It is fantastic. At least I think it is. I will do you this thing, and I will play some of the parts of the video from Tork. I will play some of the parts of the video from Tork, and I will play them for you in share my screen feature, and I am going to give you an idea of what it's like if you haven't heard it yet. So Chrome tab and Azovstal defender Tork. There we go. Share screen. You guys on TikTok are just going to, actually, I'm going to take my phone off from here and I'm going to show you here. So in the description of the video, I have included this fun little thing where you can go to chapters and let's talk about
Ask a couple of questions regarding your tattoos later and what they think Nazi tattoos are. Because I've seen a lot of, well, actually, it's quite a story. I was in chat roulette not long ago, and I stumbled upon Wagner and Kharkiv. Two guys about, 20 years old, very green, who were super scared and said everything is secret. And I was posing as a clueless American and asking them, oh my gosh, you're at the front lines. You see everything. How lucky am I? Please explain to this dumb American what's happening between these two countries. And they were telling me that they were catching Nazis with Nazi tattoos. And so I asked, what does a Nazi tattoo entail? They were insisting on these Nazi tattoos, and I was like, okay, are those swastikas or something? And they kept saying, well, Nazi symbolics. So I had to ask them what a Nazi symbol in their understanding is.
Oh yeah, I can answer these questions very precisely in advance. One, what is a swastika for them? And Nazi tattoos in general. It's everything they're unfamiliar with. So it could be straight edge movement, it could be ancient Slavic runes, literally anything they've never seen before. They don't get it? That's it, it's a swastika. So when it comes to guys that have lots of tattoos, most of them were done before 2014.
Yeah, sorry, forgot about the mic. For the first time in a while, though, so give me some credit. But what I was trying to say is, I'm not going to ruin it for you, and you guys go watch it. It's fantastic. Tork is fantastic. The next part is going to be Mariupol and his journey to Azovstal. So I am incredibly, incredibly excited to share it with you. And please, catch up on the first one before you go to the second one, because, well, second one is still not up, but it will be. Now, if you would like to support my ventures, I do have a Patreon. Patreon is Spy News Network INTL. There is a new quote coming up from the upcoming interview tonight. Wah, 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 wah. Exciting. And also the interview is going to be released on Patreon 24-ish hours before it's going to be released everywhere else. So stay tuned. Yeah, and I shall see you guys tomorrow, unless you have any questions. Unless you have any questions. If you don't, then I shall go. I have one. Okay, well, go ahead. Opinion on countries like China telling they support peace negotiations. Well, China can see that they can't use Russia anymore because Russia is useless, but they're also against the West, and this war is really not profitable for them because it hits their economy. So that's why they want peace negotiations. But China, screw China in that regard, Screw China in that regard. All right, guys. I shall see you soon. Thank you for joining. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for listening and about Ukraine. And thank you for caring for Ukraine first and foremost. That was easy. Yeah. I mean, that was easy because there was not, I really, I've gone over China and what I think about their participation in all of this and why they are the way they are. A lot of times on streams, actually. I don't know which streams in particular, so it'd be hard for me to point you over there, but almost on every stream, there is someone asking about my opinion on China and like how China is acting and stuff like that. And well, there is not really much that I can say other than China is just trying to benefit China, right? At the end of the day, China only cares about their own economy, and I can't believe I've said China as many times as I have. Okay, so there are a couple more questions. All right, shoot, let's do it. I will say that I do wanna be able to finish the stream in under 5 minutes because it's been a very long time. The dog is right here snoozing, and we have some laundry to do because the dog was very, very not nice yesterday and did something really, really bad. Heroin slava, Jillian. The clip you showed way before, there was a Russian flag with black instead of white. Why is that? It wasn't a Russian flag. Do you mean like a red and black flag, Taz? So Taz says China. So Taz doesn't say China like that. But Grumpy says, at least you didn't say China like Trump does. It's like China. The clip you showed way before, there was a Russian flag with black instead of white. Why is that? Do you mean the red and black flag? Because red and black flag is the Ukrainian resistance insurgents army flag, and Stepan Bandera used to use it, and it's the flag of Ukrainian resistance, because if you drop blood onto the blue and yellow flag, it starts looking red and black. Huh. Russian flag was taken down. I don't know, tricolor one. I have no idea. I don't know. Could you DM me on Instagram from there? Could you DM me that on Instagram? I must have missed it. What will it take to end the war? Russia capitulating. And returning Ukraine all of our territories to the borders of agreed upon in 1991. Okay, guys, I'm going to go. Bye, guys. It was very good to see ya. Eleanor and DNR have like eagles on their flags. Yes, смачного is enjoy your meal. All right, bye, guys. Bye.